Daniel Mercer did not expect his life to change at midnight, but that was when the message arrived. The phone vibrated once on the table beside his bed, sharp and out of place in the quiet room. He almost ignored it. Then he saw the sender's name, an old colleague he had not spoken to in months. Something in his chest tightened. The message was short. Too short. Sorry, you deserve to know. Beneath it was a single image. Daniel opened the photo, and the world shifted. It showed his office, unmistakably his. The framed award on the wall, the plant by the window he always forgot to water, the desk he had paid for himself when the company. We're still struggling. Standing at that desk was Aaron Cole, his business partner, his friend. Aaron was smiling as he signed a stack of papers, his jacket tossed casually over a chair as if he owned the place. The timestamp confirmed what Daniel already feared. This had been taken late at night after everyone else had gone home. Daniel sat up in bed, heart pounding. His first thought was denial. There had to be an explanation. Aaron had keys. Aaron had access. Maybe it was nothing. But deep down, Daniel already knew. The unease he had felt for weeks suddenly made sense. The late meetings he was not invited to. The sudden silence from certain clients. The way Aaron had started making decisions alone. Daniel spent the rest of the night staring at the ceiling. The image burned into his mind. Sleep never came. By morning, the damage was no longer hidden. His work email was locked. His company card declined when he tried to buy coffee. When he arrived at the office, security stopped him politely but firmly. There had been instructions. He was to wait in the conference room. The board members avoided his eyes when they entered. Their words were rehearsed, careful and final. There had been concerns, they said, structural changes, a necessary transition. Aaron had presented documents proving full control. According to the paperwork, everything Daniel had built now belonged to someone else. Daniel listened in silence, his jaw tight, his hands steady on the table. He did not shout, he did not beg, simply asked one question. When did this happen? The answer hurt more than he expected. Months ago, Daniel left the meeting with a cardboard box and a polite handshake. No one followed him out. His name was already being removed from the company website. In the elevator, his reflection looked unfamiliar. Older, smaller, like someone who had been quietly erased as he drove home. Memories came in sharp flashes. Two men in a cramped apartment years ago, dreaming out loud. Long nights, unpaid weekends, shared risks. Aaron had been there from the start. When Daniel doubted himself, Aaron pushed him forward. When Aaron hesitated, Daniel had done the same. I had promised loyalty, not with contracts, but with trust. That trust had been misplaced. At home, Daniel dropped the box on the floor and sat on the couch. The silence pressed in on him. This company was not just a job. It was proof that he mattered, that his ideas had value. Losing it felt like losing a part of his identity. He replayed every conversation from the past year, searching for the moment things had changed. There were signs. He had ignored them because it was easier to believe in partnership than betrayal. By afternoon, the truth spread quickly. Former employees sent awkward messages. Clients expressed surprise, then distance. No one wanted to be caught on the wrong side of a power shift. Daniel understood. Survival often mattered more than loyalty. When his phone rang again, he expected another apology. Instead, it was Aaron. Daniel stared at the screen as it buzzed. For a long moment, he considered answering. Imagined shouting, demanding answers. Forcing Aaron to admit what he had done. Instead, he let the call ring out. Whatever Aaron had to say would be for his own comfort, not Daniel's. As evening fell, anger finally arrived. Not explosive rage, but something heavier. Something that settled in his chest and refused to leave. He thought of the nights he had stayed late so Aaron could go home. The chances he had given him, the credit he had shared. Aaron had not just taken the company. He had rewritten the story, placing himself at the center and pushing Daniel out. That Night, Daniel opened his laptop and began reading. Not news, not messages, old files, early agreements, financial records. He wasn't planning anything yet. He told himself he was just trying to understand how it had happened. But each document revealed a pattern. Small changes, quiet adjustments. Aaron had been preparing for this long before Daniel suspected anything. Was wrong. Daniel realized something then that chilled him. Aaron hadn't acted out of impulse. This was not desperation. It was calculation. The realization cut deep, but it also brought clarity. This betrayal was not an accident. It was a choice. By the end of the night, Daniel knew one thing for certain. What had been taken from him could not be recovered easily, if at all. But the story was not over. Not yet. As he shut down the laptop and stared into the dark room, a thought formed, calm and dangerous. If Aaron believed this was the end, he was wrong. Daniel woke before sunrise, his mind already moving. The betrayal no longer felt distant or unreal. It was solid now, heavy and present, shaping every thought. He made coffee he barely tasted and sat by the window, watching the city wake up. People hurried to jobs that still belonged to them. That simple truth stung more than anger. He told himself to move forward. That was the reasonable choice. Start something new. Let the past stay buried. But reason had little power against the echo of what had been taken. Each quiet moment pulled him back to the same question. How had Aaron managed to win so completely? Daniel began with research. Not revenge, he insisted, just clarity. He reviewed public records, internal reports he still had access to, old emails he had never bothered to delete. Patterns emerged fast. Contracts, amended in careful language. Meetings scheduled when Daniel was traveling. Decisions framed as temporary, then quietly made permanent. Aaron had not rushed. He had waited, adjusted, and moved when the time was right. At first, Daniel felt foolish. He had trusted too easily. He had believed shared history meant shared values. That belief now felt like a weakness. Still, he couldn't ignore his own role. He had led without always listening. He had assumed loyalty instead of protecting it. Those thoughts made the anger twist into something more complex. Days passed. Daniel avoided friends who didn't know what to say. He walked the city to keep his mind from closing in on itself. Everywhere he went, reminders followed him. Billboards his company once paid for. News articles praising Aaron's leadership. Each one sharpened the pull toward retaliation. Late one night, Daniel received an email from a former employee. Was cautious, but supportive. The message mentioned concerns inside the company. Pressure, quiet fear. Daniel read it twice. Aria-Dreams. Control wasn't as clean as it appeared. That knowledge shifted something. Revenge no longer felt like a wild thought. It felt possible. Daniel started mapping scenarios. What if the truth came out? What if the board learned how decisions had been manipulated? He didn't need to lie. The facts existed. All he had to do was connect them. The power of that realization thrilled and scared him at the same time. Yet doubt followed close behind. Daniel imagined the outcome. Headlines, public fallout, Aaron standing exposed. But what then? Would the company return to him? Would the lost months disappear? Or would he simply become another name in a public fight, remembered more for conflict than creation? He thought about Aaron's perspective, whether he wanted to or not. Aaron had always felt overshadowed. Daniel had been the face of the company, the voice in interviews, the one praised for vision. Aaron had worked just as hard, but in silence. In his own mind, this takeover wasn't theft, it was correction. That understanding didn't soften the pain, but it complicated the anger. Revenge started to feel less like justice and more like a mirror. Two men claiming the same ground, each convinced he deserved it. The plan grew anyway. Daniel couldn't stop it. Each step was logical. Each choice easy on its own. Gather proof. Line up allies. Wait for the right moment. The danger was not in the plan, but in how natural it felt. How quickly revenge began to organize his days. Sleep became shallow. He dreamed of meetings that never ended, of doors closing just as he reached them. In the mornings, he felt tired but alert, like someone preparing for a long run. The desire to strike back sharpened his focus, giving him a purpose he hadn't realized he needed. One afternoon, Daniel ran into Aaron by chance. A quiet cafe. No warning. Aaron looked thinner, tenser, but confident. Their eyes met, and for a second, the past rushed back. It's the easy jokes. It's the shared ambition. Aaron smiled, uncertain, and walked over. The conversation was brief and polite, too polite. Aaron spoke of growth, of responsibility, of hard choices. He avoided the word betrayal entirely. Daniel listened, saying little. What struck him most was not guilt, but relief. Aaron believed he had one. That belief was dangerous. After Aaron left, Daniel sat alone, his hands steady. The meeting confirmed what he already knew. Aaron did not see himself as wrong. He saw himself as necessary. That night, Daniel stood at the edge of his decision. The evidence was ready, the connections in place. All that remained was action. Yet, instead of satisfaction, he felt a strange weight. Revenge promised balance, but demanded something in return. Time, energy. Identity. Daniel stared at his reflection in the dark window. He barely recognized the man planning destruction instead of creation. The question formed quietly, without drama. If he succeeded, who would he become? The answer did not come, only silence. And the growing awareness that revenge, once invited in, refused to leave without taking something with it. The rain began just after sunset, light at first, then steady, tapping against the windows of Daniel's apartment like a countdown. He sat at his desk, laptop open, screen glowing in the dim room. Everything was ready. Files organized. Emails drafted, contacts saved. Weeks of careful work had led to this moment, and there were no loose ends left. Daniel leaned back and closed his eyes. His mind replayed the path that had brought him here. His betrayal no longer burned the way it once had, sat quietly now, shaped into purpose. Revenge had given him structure when everything else had fallen apart. Without it, he wasn't sure. What would be left? He opened his eyes and looked at the screen again. One message. That was all. One message sent to the right people, and the truth would surface. Investigations would follow. Questions would spread. Aaron's carefully built image would crack under the weight of facts he could no longer hide. Daniel imagined the moment it happened. Aaron receiving the call. The pause in his voice. The sudden shift from control to confusion. Daniel had thought about this more times than he could count. He had imagined satisfaction, relief, even peace. Instead, he felt tired. His phone buzzed. On the desk, an unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something made him answer. Aaron's voice came through, quieter than before. No confidence. No speeches. Just honesty, raw and unsteady. Aaron didn't apologize right away. He talked about pressure, about fear of being left behind, about watching Daniel take the spotlight while he stayed in the background. He admitted he had planned everything, that he had convinced himself it was fair, that if he didn't act, he would lose everything. Daniel listened without interrupting. He expected anger to rise, but it didn't. What he felt instead was clarity. Aaron had not won because he was stronger. He had won because Daniel had trusted him. That trust was gone now, but it did not have to be replaced with destruction. Aaron stopped talking. Silence stretched between them. Then, softly, he said he knew the truth could come out at any moment. He wasn't asking for forgiveness. He was asking for understanding. After the call ended, Daniel sat still. The rain outside grew heavier. The city lights blurred through the glass. He realized something then that stopped his hand from moving toward the keyboard. Revenge would expose Aaron, yes, but it would also lock Daniel into this moment forever. Every future success would be compared to this fight. Every step forward would drag the past behind it. Daniel stood up and walked to the window. He remembered why he had started the company in the first place. Not for control, not for recognition, but to build something honest, something meaningful. That version of himself felt distant, but not gone. He returned to the desk and looked at the email one last time. His finger hovered over the send button. This was the point of no return, the climax he had been racing toward. The decision that would define what came next, slowly, deliberately. Daniel selected the message and deleted it. The action felt small, almost invisible. No dramatic sound, no instant reward, just a quiet click. Yet the moment it disappeared, something loosened inside him. The weight he had been carrying shifted, then lifted. Daniel shut down the laptop and sat in the dark. The urge for revenge didn't vanish completely, faded, like an echo losing strength. What remained was loss, but also freedom. He had chosen not to let betrayal decide who he became. The following weeks were difficult. Walking away did not fix everything. Aaron remained in control of the company. Public praise continued. Life did not offer Daniel an apology or a clean ending, but something had changed. Daniel woke up without the constant pull toward anger. His thoughts began to open again. He started consulting quietly at first, helping smaller teams. Building without pressure. People listened to him not because of a title, but because of experience. Slowly, confidence returned, rooted in something deeper than revenge. One afternoon, months later, Daniel received a message from Aaron. Short, professional. The company was restructuring. Aaron admitted things had not gone as planned. He wished. Daniel read it once and did not reply. He didn't need to. That evening, Daniel walked through the city as the sun set. The air felt lighter. He understood now that revenge had promised closure, but delivered delay. It would have kept him tied to someone who no longer deserved space in his life. By choosing to walk away, Daniel had not lost. He had ended the cycle. The betrayal would always be part of his story, but it was no longer the ending. And as he disappeared into the moving crowd, one truth stayed with him, calm and steady. Revenge had offered power. Letting go had given him peace.